Hi, this is Mark at Skywagon University again. We're doing a quick video on a late model 206, a 206H. Restarted. Remember, 206s stopped in 86 and started again in 97. This is a 2002, and it's very similar, but it has some big differences. This particular plane, the main thing about this plane, it's not that common. Most of these were turbos. This is a non-turbo. We'll talk about that later too. The way you can tell, firstly it chugs like a big, it's like 3 and 3. It's got an exhaust pipe here and exhaust pipe over there. So it's blah, 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 blah. The turbos are all coming out of one exhaust pipe, so it's got a distinctive sound to it. And it's just a IO 540 Lycoming, fuel injected, 6-cylinder, 300 horsepower, no turbo. So it's like a giant 182, very practical. Anyone would think it was an airport every time. This plane at altitude, set up nicely at like 20 inches, 2300 RPM, in cruise, 10,000 feet, will burn 14 gallons an hour. It's like a 182. So let's have a look under the cowling. Here she is. Lycoming 6-cylinder, 540 cubic inch. And if we look above, you can see it's overhead induction. Here's the induction tubes for these 3 cylinders. Here's the throttle body and the throttle. There's the actual linkage for the throttle and the intake. So the air all comes in at the top, down in, burnt, exhaust out, and under at the bottom. So the exhaust pipes are at the bottom. So it's like a cross flow, like the late model IO360 Continentals, in fact. The other thing is 206s have a frame under their engine. It's like if you take the cowling off a 182, you've got the engine sticking out in midair and there's no cowling, no nothing, engine and the nose wheels bolted to the firewall. This has a big structure underneath it. This is all like permanent, riveted underneath. So the engine doesn't sit gripped on the back like this. It sits gripped from the base. So it's sitting down on a tray like a Bonanza. This is the electronic control module on it, the new models, new, 20 years old. Just a bigger 540. The old engines were 520. Remember, they were Continentals at 285, 300, 310. This is 300 and it's a Lycoming, but it's 540, so it's 20 more cubic inches. So just randomly starting here and working around, the old Cessnas, the 86s and older, all have a fuel drain here, nothing new there. These have got another one here, another one here, another one here, another one here. There's 5 on one side and there's 5 on the other side. And this hasn't even got a bladder in it. It's a wet wing, and it's the fuel is right here. No rubber bag in it, just like the 79 and newer. So same wing as the G model 206s, same flap, same aileron, same size, just more modern lighting on the wingtips, just upgrades. This one has heavy gear, so it's got oversized wheel pants. It's got 800s and a 700 on the nose. That's standard factory. And it also has float provisions. In the old days they called it a float kit, but people thought a float kit was the floats. But it isn't. It's a more sensible name really. It's a float provisions. And really all it is on this plane is stainless steel cables, corrosion proofing, and lifting eyes. If you come around, you can look on top of the wing and you see those. They're basically 4 172 tie-down rings sticking up so that the plane can be lifted off the ground in a hangar. Same configuration back here. Horizontal abrasion boot. It's not a de-icer, it's just rubber on the leading edge. That was on the early planes too. The wide tail of all the 206s from 68 and newer. They're flat skins, 68 and newers, and this is exactly that continuation. 13 foot wide, hollow. There isn't any foam in it. The early ones had foam in. Same rudder. Basically firewall back, it's very similar to the old planes. These also are hollow. The early ones had foam in them and they would get corrosion underneath and you'd have to replace that. Now the main thing about a 206 is the double doors in the back. No front door, of course, otherwise the whole side of the plane would be doors. And this is the U of utility. So U206, U is utility. There is no P206H. So P206 is stopped in 1970. Those had front doors and one baggage door. All of the modern restarts from 97 to now are U206s. But look inside it. I mean, it's got a lot of comfort in it. It's very similar, but it's like leather, it's got inertia reel seat belts in it. Everything's just more pointed, more nicer appointed than the older planes, just because here we are in 2022 or 2002, depending on what you're looking at. So 206s in general, all 206s, just the differences between a 206 today, like a 2022, and a 182 today, same. The 182 flap ends here. See the taper? Where it starts to taper, that is the end of a flap in a 182. The aileron then starts, and it's this thick, and it goes to the tip. So, okay, you get 2 feet more flap per side, 4 feet more flap. You think, ooh, less aileron, same wingspan. But actually not, because if we look under here, at the bottom of the wing, the aileron, instead of being 8 inches with a top skin hinge like on a 182, it's about 13 inches, and it's hinged in the middle. There's a Fry's aileron. So the airflow can go in here. So it's a much more effective aileron on a 206 and a much more effective flap on a 206, yet the square footage of the wing is the same as on a 182, but 182s don't have this wing configuration. That is an H model. That's all 206s have better flaps and ailerons. On this side, the right side, we just talked about the flaps on the left wing. The right wing, the right flap is shorter by this much. It's literally shorter, and the reason for that is because of this door. If you were in an event, perhaps, and the plane wasn't as straight as it is now, and you needed to get out, but the flaps were down, you can see how that stops it. This little area here allows this door to open this far, which still doesn't let you out, but if you were in there and not panicking, you then open and close this handle in here, and this door goes past, and then you egress. So that little thing there allows this door to open. And the other thing is, right here, if you zoom in, there's a button. All 206s have that except 64s. That button tells the plane the door is shut. Because you can imagine the mayhem if that door was open and you put the flaps down, it would pulverize it. So sometimes if this button isn't set perfectly, you can have the door shut but not cammed down with the inner handle, and your flaps don't work. And you think, why are my flaps not working? It means your door's open in the back. A tidbit of information. Yeah. So here it is up front, modern. I mean, the amenities are air vents that actually blow and work, a much more modern panel that's been upgraded since 2002. It's got a Garmin 750 in it, which is an excellent unit that does everything. A couple of G5s, backup King 155. There's an OV10 Bronco just about to land behind us, and it's going to be loud. It's got a GFC 500 autopilot in it, which is fantastic. Level. At any point in flight, if you press that, the plane will be level, and it does everything. But it's actually a quite, old school gyro panel, because it's a 2002. If this was a newer H model, it would have Garmin 1000s in it, but this is very conventional. Rudder trim, elevator trim, cowl flaps, you got fuel. The old 206s had left or right, not both. And if you go to both, it says both off. So you go to both, it quits. This is left, right, and both. So you can burn both at the same time in an H model. Very similar yokes. Annunciator panel up here. There's an EGT warning light. There's like various just amenities. Tinted visors, air vents, leather seats. All 4 front seats articulate up and down and back and forward. So it's quite well appointed. So we'll fire it up and go and have a look and see how she flies. Very smooth, very quiet inside, very modern feeling, although it's 20. February in California and it's 68 degrees and hot. I got the air vents open. A month ago we had a foot of snow here. So we're just going to fly it once around the pattern, just like the other videos that we do. Not a lot to see in here, it's just a regular 206, but we'll just see how the gauges work and how the GPS moves and the general feel of the beast. It is big, I mean it's heavy, they all are, These newer ones weigh a bit more than the old ones, but their gross weight is the same, so therefore they've got a bit less useful load, but they're very forgiving, very forgiving. There we got 122.8 in, Placerville. Do a run up. Cigar, controls instruments, gas attitude, run up. Set the RPM at 1800. left, right, left, both. Mags, no carb heat, of course, because it's injected. Prop. I generally cycle twice on a cold, well, it's not that cold, but I generally cycle twice on the first start of the day just to get it purging the governor and get the oil surging through the prop hub. I'm just going to check mixture and see whether it does gain any RPM through leaning, but it probably won't. It didn't. Okay, 10 degrees. Fuel. Got gas sufficient, a lot. 3/4 full. Attitude. Okay, we're ready to go. Check final. Placerville, station air 32 Mike is departing 23 for a local flight to Placerville. The yokes are very heavy in 206s until it's moving. Once it's moving, they're totally light. So when you feel them on the ground, you think, well,
the airplane salesman?
Yes. Full power, non-turbo, so we're going about 27 inches. Flies at 60. Surprisingly. Air vents are a bit efficient. Okay, flaps coming up. Manifold pressure back to 24 inches. Really like a big modern 182. Just if you're used to the old stuff, pre-86s, this plane is fantastic. RPM back to 2400. It's running amazingly cool, like 1100 and 260. So we can afford to lean that a little bit to get it up to more like 1350 on the EGT, but not a lot because we're only in the pattern going around once. To the scenery. Placerville, station air 3, correction 23 Mike is left crosswind for 23 Placerville. And Placerville. 23 Mike on left downwind for 23 at Placerville. There's the snow-capped Sierras. There's the airport. So I'm doing 115 knots right now, gently reducing power. Pattern altitude's 3400, coming down to that. Manifold pressure is down at 17 inches at the moment. Whatever it takes. We're doing about 120. I'll slow it down on base to final. Very, very smooth, very smooth. 3 blades, 6 cylinders. It's fantastic. The fuel burn in this thing is, at the moment it's burning 10 because I've got it powered back, but it'll cruise on like 14 gallons an hour with perfectly acceptable EGT CAG numbers. So first stage of flap. I can put flaps down at 140, it's doing 120, so I'm putting down 10 degrees. Prop in. Mixture a little bit in. Next stage of flaps. We're doing 80. Placerville, 23 Mike. 23 Mike is on final for 23 at full. 23 at Placerville. Damn, too many 2-3s in that call. There's a little bit of a burble out here. Mooney on final. Overshot that slightly. Too many cameras to play with. Concentrate. Okay, we're doing 80. I'm going to do 80, 70, 60. The 60 will be when I touch down. Placerville, 23 Mike, short final, full stop on 23 at Placerville. Gear is down, fixed gear. Gas undercarriage mixture prop.
Get her over the numbers, hold her off, let the airspeed bleed away, and bam. Short field did it. I didn't use the autopilot because it's a whole other video. We probably will do that because that is such an excellent autopilot. In another plane with me not as the pilot, I will demonstrate a Garmin GFC 500.
38 for runway, depart runway 23.
So yeah, in conclusion, quick flight, not my best landing. Very, very conventional, very, very easy. Fixed gear, 300 horse, non-turbo, just a big station wagon, completely familiar. Do not be intimidated by it being an H and being different. This is an excellent plane.
One last thing is landing lights in the wing. 206s had landing lights in the wing from new in 63 right up till 1973, and from then on when the camber cuff wing was introduced, which was 73, the landing light went in their nose, 2 of them. They're back in the wing in the restart, 97 to current, because, well, they're LED, so they don't break their filaments. But the landing lights in the wings don't break their filaments as much as the ones bolted almost to the engine in the front. So a late model plane has also got landing light in the wing. So this is a 2002 206, and this is Mark at Skywagons University, just having given you a quick flight and a quick show around of it and its differences between it and its older predecessor. Anybody with an interesting plane that would like to come and be interviewed and talk and fly, please get in touch. And also, somebody contacted us about having a tug, an airport tug that was pretty cool, quite local to me here in Sacramento area. And I cannot find their contact details, but we want to do that video because it's kind of interesting. So if you're watching this, contact me again. And if you like these videos, there's a subscribe button down here and there's a bell. Click on the bell, you get notifications, subscribe, you'll get all the other videos, and there's also about 30 or 40 predecessing videos that I've already made that you can watch if you're interested. But this is Mark at Skywagon University, and signing off. Thanks for watching.